Here goes your plants.
Alright. Hello everybody. How you guys doing today? So in 2016, Wisecrack made a video about Dark Souls. They said that Dark Souls is about returning to the womb in order to find one's identity. And that video received a lot of backlash because people said that, well, there's not enough supporting evidence to really prove your claim. But Wisecrack mostly leaned on imagery. About how, like, at the end of Dark Souls 2, the protagonist goes through a vaginally shaped door and then sits on a throne in a very womb dome-shaped oven. And so that was kind of their big evidence for why they think Dark Souls is about returning to the womb. Now, through my own tedious research and kind of investigating, I think that Wisecrack is actually correct. I think that much of Dark Souls is about returning to the womb. And more specifically, I think Bloodborne is about literally returning to the womb. Whereas in Dark Souls, everything is metaphorical. In Bloodborne, I think things are much more literal, and it is about people literally returning to a literal, actual womb. So in this little cutscene here, this cutscene shows a stroller with baby Murgo in it. The wet nurse lands on top of the stroller. You hear a weird gurgling, swallowing kind of sound, and then the wet nurse grows a pregnant bulge. Presumably, that's where Murgo is. If you go and you look inside the stroller, there's nothing in there. The stroller is empty. So I think that is like some pretty good visual evidence that we can put right in front of ourselves to show us that, okay, well, maybe there's something to what Wisecrack is saying. If we look at the ritual blood, we can see skulls rising from the blood. And if we look at the blood dregs, we can see little faces and what appears to be blood sperm. Eye, mouth. Eye, mouth. Eye, mouth, so on and so forth. And the Blood Gem Workshop tool tells us blood defines an organism. So the identity of an organism is in its blood. The blood echoes read, the bloody memories of those cursed by the plague of the beast, while the air rune tells us perhaps the air is a hunter who bears the echoing will of those who came before. So when a hunter collects blood echoes, the bloody memories of those cursed by the plague of the beast, he's collecting their memories, and also their wills. Perhaps the heir is a hunter who bears the echoing will of those who came before. So inside of people's blood are their identities, right? That's why we see all these faces, right? It's their souls, their memories, and also their will. All of that is present inside of people's blood, and that's what a blood echo is. So if I die in the world of Bloodborne, and you drink my blood, what you're drinking is my soul. You are consuming my soul, and it is inside of you now, I guess. And so that's really the point of the hunters. The hunters go around basically collecting all of these blood echoes, collecting people's souls. Reddit user Terrified of Ghosts came up with a very similar idea. He said that in the underground labyrinth of Tumaru, bodies are dangled upside down to drain them of blood, collect the blood into a chalice to amalgamate people's souls together. When all is melted in blood, all is reborn. And then a chosen woman is selected to drink that blood, collect all those blood echoes, and everyone's souls are reborn together as a special child within her womb. In Queen Yarnim's case, Murgo. So Murgo is an exceptional, special, powerful child because he is the reincarnation of entire generations of Tumaru residents. So there is another instance of people literally returning to a literal, actual womb. The betrothal ring states, in the age of the Great Ones, wedlock was a blood contract only permitted to those slated to bear a special child. So because Queen Yarnim has some kind of innate special blood, she is capable of bearing a special child of blood, and she's one of the very few people permitted to wed and reproduce. If we look at the Hunter rune, it appears to be a body dangling upside down. And we find those bodies all throughout Tumaru, as well as the Hunter rune symbol. So the Hunter rune symbol isn't a symbol of beast hunting. It's a symbol of draining blood and collecting blood echoes. That's what it's really a symbol of. It isn't a symbol of beast hunting. It's a symbol of a body dangled upside down to drain it of blood, and then presumably to collect that blood, to collect people's souls, and then amalgamate all those souls inside of one's vessel, inside of the hunter's vessel. There's another odd cutscene in Bloodborne where, upon killing Vicar Amelia, the hunter approaches Lawrence's skull and suddenly has a flashback of Lawrence's memory. Now, how does that happen? How are you able to experience Lawrence's memory if the main hunter isn't even Lawrence? How does that happen? Well, if you'll recall, people's memories are in their blood. That's what the description of the blood echoes tells us. And there's a very subtle hint in a note in the Grand Cathedral Award, which reads, heir to the ritual blood, purveyor of ministration. So the person who is the purveyor of ministration, Amelia, is also the heir to the ritual blood, and as the heir rune tells us, perhaps the heir bears the echoing will of those who came before. If Amelia is the heir to the ritual blood, that probably means that she drinks it and thereby inherits the memories of those who came before. So at some point, Amelia drank Lawrence's blood, Lawrence the first vicar, and inherited his memories and his will. When the hunter kills Amelia, he drinks her blood echoes and inherits her memories, and also Lawrence's. That's why the hunter experiences Lawrence's flashback when he approaches Lawrence's skull. If we accept Terrified of Ghosts' idea that the Tomorrow residents are trying to reincarnate in Yharnam's womb, doesn't it then make sense that perhaps the goal of the Healing Church is to amalgamate Yharnam residents into Amelia's womb? The church gives people blood that will inevitably turn them into beasts, sends out hunters to kill those beasts and collect their blood echoes. The church knows that the blood is going to turn people into beasts and gives them blood anyway. Because that's what the church wants. The church wants people to turn into beasts so they can dispatch hunters to kill everyone, collect their blood echoes, and then the last hunter is sacrificed to Amelia so everyone can reincarnate in her womb. But the big difference between Queen Yharnam and Amelia is that when Amelia drinks the ritual blood, she turns into a beast. While Queen Yharnam, on the other hand, she is special somehow. Like she is capable of bearing a special child of blood. So when she drinks people's blood, she doesn't turn into a beast like Amelia. Instead, everyone's souls are actually reincarnated in her womb, and that's how Murgo is born. The description of the blood vial says, successive infusions recall the first and are all the more invigorating for it. Some people interpret that line as sort of an allusion to like how drugs, like the first time you take a drug is when it feels the best, and every subsequent time it wanes a little bit more and more and more, and it doesn't feel as good. I don't think that's what it's really getting at, though. I think it's more of a riddle. Successive infusions recall the first. The first infusion of blood is not a medical process. No. The first infusion of blood is from when a baby is in the mother's womb, and there's an umbilical cord, and the baby is infused with the mother's blood. That is the first infusion of blood. So when people go to Yharnam, the town, and they're infused with this ritual blood, with this special blood, they recall the first infusion of blood. They recall their childhood. They recall being in the womb, literally. Successive infusions recall the first and are all the more invigorating for us. So there's another little clue as to, well, maybe the whole game is about wanting to return to the womb. So the church gives people this highly addictive ritual blood, and when Yharnamites drink it, they recall childhood and desire to go back to the womb. And Vicar Amelia is probably the womb they're all supposed to return to, if only she had the right genes for it, like Queen Yharnam. Alright, now let's talk about Queen Annalise. Annalise wants to bear a special child of blood. The Caner's armor reads, this paper-thin silver armor is said to deflect blood of ill intent, and is what allows the royal guard to capture prey for their beloved queen, so that one day she may bear a child of blood. Like Yharnam and like Amelia, Annalise wants to bear a special child of blood, and the way she's going to achieve that is by drinking blood dregs the hunter can give her. And as I've already shown, blood dregs are a bunch of little sperm with little faces in them. So she drinks those blood dregs and hopes to become pregnant by them to reincarnate people's souls within her womb. In Victorian times, there was this pretty common misconception that during sex, blood was exchanged between partners. So with Dracula, he wants to suck your blood or whatever. That is like a sexual metaphor. Metaphorically, he's saying that he wants to sleep with you. He wants your blood. He wants to swap some blood around and stuff like that. So in Bloodborne, all the characters who give the hunter some kind of blood vial, they're all women, and they're all a little bit flirtatious.
Please, this is all that I can do. And once the night of the hunt ends, we can speak face to face. Then I can finally see what you look like. I shouldn't be thinking this. But I am rather looking forward to it.
I'm off during hunts, so if that's what you're here for, I'll leave you to your own devices. If that doesn't do it, come back in the morning, darling.
I'd like to tender my thanks, but I haven't much to offer. All I can give is my blood. Oh, brave hunter. I cannot begin to express my gratitude to you. The only thing that I can offer is my own lowly blood. Oh, brave hunter, I pray for your safety. Come back soon. Oh, it's wonderful. Oh, I hear the sticky sound. Do you hear it too? Oh, I know. Will you have my blood as thanks?
Drink deep of our blood. Feel the spreading corruption burn.
So in Bloodborne, things are again literal. The exchange of blood is literally a sexual experience, and it is possible for a woman to become pregnant by drinking someone's blood. In Queen Yarnum's case, she drinks everyone's blood, and then everyone reincarnates in her womb as Murgo. So let's think about the fishing hamlet, where people are turning into like a bunch of fish creatures, and they seem to worship some kind of motherly god of the sea. The residents of the village used to be human, hence you can find human corpses resting in funeral boats. We can maybe guess that when a resident dies, his body is placed in a boat and then pushed out to sea, because what else are boats for? The boats then capsize, the person's body sinks into Kaz's domain and becomes one with Kaz. Assuming what's happening at the hamlet is the same as what's happening in Tumaru or Yarnum or Canehurst, the villagers' spirits all amalgamate together inside of Kaz's womb after they pass. So when the hunter finds Kaz's corpse washed up on the shore, a withered old baby slithers out of Kaz's womb. That is the reincarnated amalgamation of the hamlet's villagers. Now you might wonder, why would people want to return to the womb? Why would the residents of Yarnum, why would the residents of Tumaru, why would the residents of Canehurst, why would the residents of the fishing hamlet, why do they all want to return to the womb? What's the point of that? What's so great about a womb? Well, if you think about it, the baby in the womb is protected. All of its needs are taken care of. It doesn't have to do anything. It doesn't really have to worry about anything. It's aware of emotion. It's aware of touch. It's aware of sound. It's in a safe, protected place where it cannot be hurt. When you fight Queen Yarnum, whenever Murgo cries, the hunter becomes paralyzed by this like weird cloud ring type thing. Okay, but that doesn't happen when fighting the wet nurse. When Murgo cries again, when Murgo cries while fighting the wet nurse, nothing really happens. So the fact that when Murgo cries within Queen Yarnum's womb, the hunter is unable to move, and when Murgo cries while within the wet nurse's womb, nothing happens, that leads me to believe that Murgo wants to be inside of Yarnum's womb, his actual biological mother, and doesn't want to be inside of the wet nurse's womb. This host of the nightmare or whatever it is. So that does lead me to believe that in some cases people actually do want to return to the womb, and that's the big goal that they're after. In the Tumaru residents' case, they all want to be inside of Queen Yarnum. I guess that was worded a little bit strangely. But when you look at the wet nurse, Murgo doesn't want to be there. When Murgo cries, nothing happens. And the final achievement of the game is literally called Childhood's Beginning. So when you turn into the weird baby slug thing, it is called Childhood's Beginning. So you have in fact successfully returned to childhood somehow by beating the moon presence. So we have myself, we have Wisecrack, and we have Terrified of Ghosts, where all independently we all arrived at a very similar conclusion, that much of Dark Souls or Bloodborne or both, it's all about returning to the womb in order to find one's identity or something like that. So if the big complaint is that there wasn't enough evidence to prove Wisecrack's point in 2016, here you guys go. I think that this is quite a bit of evidence to maybe prove their point a little bit more at least. Alright, goodbye.